Greetings. Thank you for watching and viewing my channel. If you are new, welcome once again. I am the teacher Tobin, and today in my video, or this video, if I want to put it in a more egoless perspective, because the videos are really just the teachings I've learned myself, and then I pass them along down to you. But it's also teaching myself by speaking it, by learning it, by doing it, experiencing it, or experiencing it. So really, this is the video I want to just tap into, and it's just going to be called Seeing in the Dark. The importance of seeing in the dark, and how modern day society and culture is blinding us at the nighttime with all the lights. If you live in a city, as I do, it's very hard to get to a location where you're completely isolated from any type of artificial lighting. So what I do is go into the forest that is close to me, and I isolate myself as much as I can so I'm not being blinded by the artificial lightings, and so my eyes and my body can naturally produce the types of chemicals and whatever it needs in order to adapt into the dark and be able to see in the dark and to feel the energy in the dark, and to step away from the fear of the darkness. See, I've learned that you have to see. I learned to see in the dark. And I don't just mean like seeing objects in space, but I mean seeing with your first eye, sight, your first eye vision, which is just another way of saying the third eye. You have to learn how to see in the dark using your higher senses and tuning them in. You can tune in and have many visions, and your what's called melatonin is what's naturally produced in the dark. And when you go to sleep, this is what is cause you to have the visions you get in the dreams while you're sleeping. I mean, you don't necessarily have to be asleep while you're dreaming, by the way. You could be awake and conscious, which is also known as lucid dreaming. Well, that's another topic for another day. But yeah, it seems like it's really hard to get away from artificial lighting. Living in the civilization in the city, and the only time we get a chance to, regenerate and just totally shut down is when we're unconscious and asleep. And that's why it's good to at least get a little bit of time each day where you're meditating or you're doing something in total darkness. And that really, meditating is the best practice you can do, just sitting and being still. But as I said, going into the forest and walking through the forest in the dark, preferably without any clothes on, to get the full active air bath included, and to also just be walking and just having all my chakras and all my senses in tune with the outside and the outside environment. So yeah, it's something that I've been doing. Like, I guess you can say, when I first activated my Kundalini energy, I was really attracted to the darkness. When I started to beginning to, you can say, awaken, I realized there was a lot in the dark that we couldn't the information in the dark we couldn't get from the light. And a lot of beings, a lot of dark beings that a lot of us are afraid of because they're in the shadows, they're unseen, they're parts of ourselves. We tend to avoid to look and to experience and to face and contact and interact with these different dark beings and entities, different dark codes and information we can extract from the darkness. Well, I can tell you there's a lot of different ways you can learn to see in the dark. As I said, meditating, walking through the forest, just being in your room. The actually really good place is the bathroom because you can get all the lights out and it's like pretty much pitch black dark. So I'll do that. I'll go into a bathroom, meditate, and yeah, just learn to feel and see my body without actually seeing it in the light. So there is that. And then there's also isolation chambers, also known as sensory deprivation tanks. And what these do is basically you're laying in a pool of Epsom salt, warm water, in a tank that's completely isolated. So it basically gets you to totally tune in with your inner world, and you're just focusing on your breath, and you just completely let go of even your body. I mean, you just feel the like energy of your body, but you're in the space of pure darkness, which is really where we came from. And that's also why there's so many codes and so much to see in the dark, is because that's where we came from. That's our origin. So it's like exploring outer space, yet it's inner space. Vice versa, we're exploring both inner and outer. But the inner space, it's just as infinite in so much to explore, just as much as the outer space. I mean, everyone thinks of the universe as this expansive, huge, and unknown and mysterious place outside of Earth and far away, which it also is, but it's also within us. And so, learning to see in the dark, for me, it improves my vision, my inner intuition. It has improved my sense of feeling around, like I can actually do things with my eyes closed. Obviously not things that are dangerous, cause danger, but just walking. It's like you're tuning into the senses where you have to use your body and your higher senses in order to see. And on another note, so many visions you can have, like many vision quests, many shamans want you to go into psychedelic states in the dark at nighttime, because the nighttime is really when you have the visions, like intense visions, because there's so much to see in the dark. And I can tell you personally, I've gone on vision quests with certain psychedelics in the dark. I've done mushrooms in the dark. I've done LSD, different other types of plants, psychedelics, even cannabis can be used as a type of medicinal herb in order to get you to exploring different states and going into different realms of the dark. And I've seen so much. Like, it's pretty amazing. I mean, just where you can go, and that's the thing. You just break out of that fear of what is there, what's to explore in the dark, because there is a lot to see, and there's a lot to see in the light too, and both balancing. But that's just like something that's sort of taboo. That's sort of like why I wanted to make a video, just to kind of briefly put it into perspective of like the importance of the darkness and learning to use as little lighting as possible when we don't need it, especially in the dark, because it's really messing up our vision with our eyes, seeing with all these fluorescent lights and even the computer lights and all this other type of artificial lighting that was never really meant for biologically for our eyes. And yeah, it's like, it's a little bit hard to see in the dark at first. It's just something you practice. And yeah, and in different states of meditation where you can be taken to all those places, like so many places in that state. And that all comes from seeing in the dark. So yeah, I mean, that's just a little bit of explanation about seeing in the dark, and I hope this video is helpful in any way. And I want to make a couple more videos that are going a little bit more in depth of my own explorations in the dark. And that is all I have to say. Thank you for tuning in and watching. I'll be speaking to you guys very soon. And peace, shalom, and tranquility.